Hey nerds, I wanted to talk about a thing that I've been seeing on the internet that is just deeply, deeply frustrating. You'll see it like under various videos. It's apparently it's a uh, like a red pill. Like you're familiar with this. I assume you've been on the internet for a little while now. So the blue pill, it's a Matrix reference. The blue pill is when you like return to the Matrix and live about your go about living your life as if you never glimpsed the truth underneath the world. And the red pill is when you become racist. Uh, so I found the final red pill. It's been located, which is the statement that diversity just means fewer white people. Um, Now I wanna clarify. I'm not saying that you're racist if you have encountered this and have like nodded along and thought like, yeah, that seems plausible to me. Um, I just think that that statement is asinine and wrong, and I'm gonna kind of try to explain why. Sorry for the shaky iPhone video. I couldn't get my camera to turn on. Um, I didn't try to turn my camera on. I'm very lazy, and I had my iPhone and my camera's like in my closet somewhere or something. Um, so it's very frustrating because basically, uh, it's true that having a like racial diversity of people who get things, who get scholarships, who get to go to college, is disadvantages white people. You're kind of like taking them down from their level of privilege. Um, but the problem is that those things were never really about what's good for like white people. They're about what's good for society, and what's good for society is if people who have skills, who deserve things, receive them. So I think a big part of this is like a misunderstanding of a lot of like social justice initiatives, like affirmative action, for example. So affirmative action isn't about um, like let's say you have two candidates, and one is highly skilled and white, and one is less skilled and brown. In, affirmative action is not about giving a job to a less skilled brown person. It's about making sure that people who actually are skilled and happen to be brown are also getting jobs. So people have this like misunderstanding with scholarships that there's like a quota that for example for a job there would be a quota that like, oh well, half of our engineers have to be female, even if only about 20% of the engineers coming out of college are female. So then you end up with this big uh, inequality essentially, where all of the females are underexperienced because they got the job for being female, and all of the men are overexperienced because they were systematically disadvantaged. But that's not actually how affirmative action usually works. There aren't affirmative action programs that work in the way of just saying like, oh well, I guess we'll just get 50% females and just not pay attention to like how many people actually have the relevant skills. No, they actually go out and check who has these skills that we need, what like proportion of people have them, and if there are 20% of the people that have those skills are female, they will aim to have 20% of the people in their workforce being female. So it's not like women who are not good at, who can't do the job are getting the job. It's about finding the most skilled candidate. So I think what's really frustrating to me about this diversity just means fewer white people is that it's really like missing the point of diversity. It's not to really benefit white people. It's to benefit society. And the other thing is that like diversity uh, doesn't necessarily mean fewer white people. It could mean a lower proportion of white people. Like for example, with representation in film, it could mean that we want more representations of people of color, but not necessarily less representations of white people. And like honestly, if you don't understand that, you just don't understand like basic maths. At that point, I don't really think I can help you. And the other thing is that even if we're assuming that a diversity means a lower number of white people, so white people are less likely to get the job, say, as an engineer, that still doesn't harm like white people in society in general, because you're not okay, so you're only looking at it from the perspective, when you say diversity means fewer white people, you're only looking at it from the perspective of the person who's potentially being hired. But you need to also look at it from the perspective of the person who's going to drive over the bridge that's being built. And that person wants to find the most experienced candidate. So for those people, affirmative action programs that that are designed to find the best candidate, regardless of racial. Okay, so this is a weird way of thinking about affirmative action programs, which is the actually realistic way, which is that they're not designed to find inexperienced brown people and put them in positions of power. They're designed to ensure that if you have 20% of people with experience who are brown, you have 20% of brown people in your firm or whatever, making fidget spinners or whatever the fuck you're doing. So affirmative action is about finding more people who are qualified to do the jobs, right? Like if 80% of the people who are qualified are white people and your workforce has 90% white people, assuming if your workforce has 90% white people when only 80% of the people that are qualified are white people, that means that you could have a more experienced workforce by including more people of color. So you need to look at this from the perspective of the person who's going to be consuming the product, spinning the fidget spinner, or driving over the bridge, or receiving surgery or whatever. The person who really would have benefited from an affirmative action program that seeks out people of color, marginalized people, women, etc., who have the relevant skills. So saying that diversity just means fewer white people, it's really like I think an intentional misunderstanding. Like honestly, I think some people are just confused. They just say like diversity just means fewer white people because it strikes them as very true. But I think some people like misunderstand on purpose for whatever reasons, because affirmative action doesn't really work that way. Diversity is not about like pushing white people out of the public space, and I really don't understand how you could think that that's the case. It's about civic engagement of minorities and people of color. So yeah, I've explained why that phrase, diversity just means fewer white people, is goddamn bullshit. And I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Whatever. Oh, also one more thing. I normally don't do like unscripted videos like this. I'm trying out a new thing. So head down to the comments. Let me know what you think of this style of video. I might do more. I might do more researched videos. I'm really like experimenting with the format quite a bit. Pretty soon I'm gonna do like an actual response video and everything, so look out for that.